All right, what's up, Fearless Networkers? Todd Falcone here. Welcome back to another episode. Look, today, okay, here's the deal. So I've been doing, hopefully you've been catching some of my Facebook Lives. If you follow me on Facebook, I've been doing consistently Facebook Lives throughout the week on this subject of achieving mastery, right? Network marketing mastery was something, a term that I actually trademarked years ago, because when I started in the network marketing profession, I was less than network marketing mediocre. So I really wanted to have success in network marketing and started to seek out success. And I came across the term mastery. Well, what is mastery? It's the comprehensive skill or understanding of something. In other words, you're really good at that which you have mastered, right? So something I've done with, and I think it's a great test to just kind of see where you are. So in one of my recent coaching programs, working with a group of people, I had them analyze themselves and rate themselves. So like, for example, if you were going to rate yourself right now on a scale of 1 to 10, right? 1, I'm not very good, and 10, I'm the best I could possibly be in any category. In or out of business, like what number would you give yourself? I mean, what number do you give yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in cooking? What number would you give yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in being fluent in a language? 1 to 10 in whatever it might be. 1 to 10 in prospecting. 1 to 10 in team building. 1 to 10 in speaking. What number would you give yourself? 1 to 10 in closing. 1 to 10 in follow-up. 1 to 10 in whatever that is. And what's interesting, if you look at it like this, here's my opinion. Let's talk about inviting. The subject of my ability to have mastered the invite. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1, man, I'm not very good at it at all. And 10, holy smokes, nothing can stop me. I feel uber confident all the time. I can engage anybody in conversation at any time. I don't have any fear or trepidation or hesitation. No problem, no worries. I can go and get after it. That's a 10, right? So if you give yourself, for example, a 3, obviously you need work. A 4, obviously you need work. 5. In fact, if we go back to school days, what would be a passing grade? Well, a 60% on a test would be a D. That's 6 out of 10. A 70% would be a C, mediocre, average, passing. A B, okay, you're in the higher echelon of the grade categories. An A, you're great at it, right? An A, remember, or an A+. Wouldn't it be nice to give yourself an A+ in these different categories? So my challenge to you in today's video, or you might be catching me on a podcast, is go through, I'm going to give you some categories that you can work on. You write down the category, give yourself a rating on that specific category, and then go through each category and ask yourself, what can I do to improve, to take what's a 4 and turn it into a 9, or a 3 and turn it into a whatever. So my opinion is you've got to be a bare minimum of 7 in most of these categories or higher. You got to be able to give yourself a C average. I mean, I don't think any of us would consider a C mastery, right? A would be mastery. So ideally, in an ideal situation, and the good news is all of these categories that we're talking about, if we really sit down and have an open discussion about it, they are all categories that are able for you to improve in. So, and then if there are certain categories that you want to add to it, and we did this exercise where people added to the list. So whether if you're listening to me on a podcast, which that might be the case, you might want to pull over or press pause. Do this when you can write this down. If you're sitting here on video, certainly you probably wouldn't be driving, watching me on video. I certainly hope you wouldn't, unless you're in the passenger seat. But I would get out a pen and paper and write these things down. So let's look at some of the main categories, and then I'll let you kind of use your mind and see if there's anything else you can expand upon. And then rate yourself in those categories, 1 to 10. 1 is I'm absolutely terrible. 10 is I'm absolutely amazing at it. I have mastered this particular area. And then go through each category and ask yourself, well, what do I need to do to improve this number? How can I improve this number? And then start taking actionable steps towards improving the number in each of those categories. Like quickly, for example, let's say, speaking, 1 to 10 on speaking in front of an audience, I give myself a 3. Well, why do I give myself a 3? Because I've only done it one time and I thought I did okay. And you're giving yourself that number, but you've never really spoken again. And if you're going to improve your ability to speak on the platform, virtual or literal platform, this is kind of a virtual platform because I'm not standing in front of an audience necessarily, but it is still a platform speaking. What can you do? Well, maybe I could start actually speaking. Maybe I could actually start doing Facebook Lives. Maybe I could actually start a YouTube channel. I don't know. Maybe I'll start volunteering to speak at local whatever's in my town. Anything, study speaking, watch other speakers, take notes while others are speaking, not just on the content, but what you're seeing them do so that you can improve. So here's some of the categories. Inviting. How good are you at inviting, asking somebody to take a look at your product or your business? I think that would be a big category. How about creating an initial connection or conversation starters? How are you at striking up a conversation with somebody on a scale of 1 to 10? So we go, I'm not, and by the way, I'm not doing these in any particular order necessarily. I'm just giving you some categories that are just coming out of my head as I'm going through this episode with you. So rapport building and connecting, saying hello to somebody and starting a conversation, inviting somebody to take a look. What would you give yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in follow up? How about dealing with tough questions and objections? What would you give yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in closing and enrolling distributors? What would you give yourself on a 1 to 10 scale in customer acquisition? What would you give yourself on a 1 to 10 scale in customer retention, doing things to keep your customers and not just make a sale? What would you give yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in starting your new distributors? 1 to 10 in recognition, 1 to 10 in training, 1 to 10 in leadership, 1 to 10 in working what I would call team building skills. What would you give yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in doing Facebook Lives, 1 to 10 in lead generation, 1 to 10 in marketing, understanding marketing? And so those are some categories I gave you. That's why I said pull over, write down the list, and then give yourself that rating. I think this is a great way to, if you have a desire to improve, like I always had a desire to improve. I always wanted to get better at doing this network marketing thing. And I'm not claiming to be the master in all of these categories, but I've always driven for mastery. How can I be super highly skilled in that which it is that I'm doing? Why? I mean, so you can either be mediocre or you can be better than mediocre, or you can be above average, or you can be a master in your craft. I think the whole concept of being a master in your craft is a beautiful concept to consider. I think that the better you are at anything that you do, the better the result that you're going to get, the more success you're going to have in it. So if you're going to do this business of network marketing, why not do everything that you can to achieve network marketing mastery, which is, again, why, years and years ago, we trademarked the term network marketing mastery. In fact, the very early beginnings of my company, everything was branded around network marketing mastery. Now it's network marketing mastery and the Fearless Networker. Those are our two corporate trademarks that we have. I think everybody wants to be a fearless networker. That's why we created that brand and achieve network marketing mastery. Makes sense? So write those things down. See where you feel like you rank yourself in those categories, and be honest with yourself. And don't get down on yourself. If you give yourself a 2 on something, so what? Work on it. Okay, how can I improve on this? In what ways? What action steps can I take to improve my speaking skills, to improve my inviting, to improve my closing, my overcoming objections, my team recognition plan, my social media marketing, my whatever else it is that you fill in the blanks. And I think you'll find it very, very interesting. It'll be a fun exercise for you in your growth and development and into becoming a more effective person. And you know what, by the way, hey, you can do this in a lot of other areas in your life. What would you give yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 as a husband, as a partner, as a spouse, as a father, as a friend, as a whatever? And what ways can you improve that as well. So some things to think about. Listen, I so value the fact that you guys plug into me. I appreciate it so much. There's some free resources on this page if you're catching me on toddfalcone.com. If you are listening to me on podcasts, there's definitely some additional resources for you. If you go to toddfalcone.com/episode 44, you can catch the rest of the story. That's kind of where the main stuff happens over at toddfalcone.com. And for this particular episode, it's /episode 44. Thank you so much for watching, listening, plugging in. I really sincerely hope that you'll take action on this stuff because it's the action that makes the biggest difference, right? It's taking in of the knowledge, acquiring the information, and then, let me go put it into action. That's how we win. Stay fearless, my friends. Thanks for plugging in. We'll see you next time.